Hey friends, I'm Otis Gibbs, and this is David Torretta. He's going to talk about his friendship with the great Chuck Berry.
One thing, when he was not playing and not on the road, he kind of was like a gentleman farmer on his property. He drove his tractor all the time, cut his own grass. One time I was out there recording, and it snowed during the day, and I didn't realize I had this old, awful town car, and it was not going to get up the hill. And I'm revving my tires and stuff, and all of a sudden it looked like an apparition. Here comes Chuck over the hill driving a tractor, and he pulls out the chains and drags me out of the hole with the tractor. It was like, Farmer Chuck to the rescue. Once he was playing a corporate event down by the Arch. This was shortly after 9/11, and the Arch is on federal grounds. And at that point, there was armored vehicles. There was a lot of security there, and we're going down there. We're supposed to meet the people at a hotel, and I noticed we drive right by the hotel. He starts up and said, "Chuck, I think we're supposed to meet some people here. They're going to take us down." He said, "Don't worry about it." So all of a sudden, we're at the Arch, and I'm looking at all the armored vehicles, and he makes a quick turn and drives over by the old cathedral and jumps the curb, and we start driving over the Arch grounds. Everybody's screaming, and we pull up to the doors that go underground to the Arch, and people come out of there waving their arms, going, "You can't park here." He says, Okay. Let me go in for 1 second. I think I got to use the bathroom." And he says, "You stay with the car." So I'm here with all the people, and after about a half an hour, the guy says, "He's not coming back, is he?" Nope. He played a benefit for Bob Costas down at Kiel Auditorium, and he picked me up at Blueberry Hill, and he was going to take me back there, get my car. And I noticed we're driving north on Highway 70. I'm going, "This isn't the way back to Blueberry Hill." He said, "Oh, don't worry about it. I want to show you where I used to go see Nat King Cole sing." So he's got his Garmin or whatever, and it must have been connected to Sputnik, because we were going down streets, one-way streets the wrong way, dead-end streets. It took us about an hour to find this place in North St. Louis that was torn down. So, yep, that's the Riviera Club. That's where I used to see Nat King Cole sing.
Did you know Nat King Cole at all?
I think he did. I don't know for sure, but that was his favorite singer, Nat King Cole. And driving around with him in his car, you either were listening to a ball game or Nat King Cole. He did have an affinity for Chicago from those chess days, I guess. And one time during the filming of that movie, Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll, he decided to halt the filming because he had a gig in Ohio. And it was in the middle, and they had a whole crew there. He said, I can't renege my contract. I got to go to Ohio and play this gig. So they had to shut the whole thing down, and he had kind of like a Winnebago and took the whole crew to Ohio to watch it play. But on the way back, which wasn't really on the way, he cut through Chicago. And somehow he was driving down Lakeshore Drive on the wrong side of the road going, "Chicago is my town." So, yeah, he loved Chicago.
Sounds like they should have been filming that.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys they were pretty pissed. They had all these union people in town. Yeah, Keith Richards wasn't really crazy about his tone because he was his still showman tone. So the crew had it wired so they were going to have, I think, deluxes downstairs and Mike and them. And I think Chuck found out about it, wasn't happy about that at all. And
Keith didn't like Chuck's tone?
Yeah, correct.
Wow. How did that go?
Not well. Yeah, in the early days, Chuck would just use pickup bands, and he figured everybody in the world should know his songs. So he would show up and he'd call off the tune and expect the band to know it. And it might be in a different key that night, but the band had to follow. So you'd see a lot of people jumping on the first note of every song. And some were good and some weren't. But occasionally he'd tour with his own band that he put together here from town. Billy Peake was usually the other guitar player, different drummers. Eventually it became Keith Robinson and Bob Lohr and his son and Ingrid. But most of the time, for many, many years, he just traveled with his guitar and show up at a town and expect the band to know his stuff. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And in Europe, he kind of had a favorite piano player and drummer. And in the later years, they would team up with him as well. But early on, it was anything goes. And it was a thrill for a lot of people around the world to get to play with Chuck. And a lot of people did.
Was he demanding?
He was demanding. And he was demanding on the bass player. He'd get in your face and go, jump down, jump down, jump down. And you better catch on to that groove. Yeah, there were stories of him throwing drummers off the stage and decided to play without a drummer if the guy couldn't get it.
Did that really happen?
That really happened, yeah.
Wow.
Chuck was a huge baseball fan. He watched the Cardinals all the time. He had a big screen in his studio, and when the Cardinals were on TV, that came on. And he was a baseball fan in general. Like Brown-Eyed Handsome Man was about Jackie Robinson. It was sort of his tribute to what Jim Crow stuff was like in the 50s. And yeah, I think he attributed that last verse to Jackie Robinson. Yeah, he learned a lot from his early years with from the Willie Dixon days and touring, and his business sense was based on that. And he still insisted on getting paid in cash before the job, brown paper bag. And if there was any discrepancies in the contracts, he deserved extra. I mean, he held that to the end. He could have probably made a lot more in the later years with marketing and stuff like that. But he liked the way he did it and was comfortable getting what he thought he deserved, and didn't want anybody else making money off of him. And as a result, he probably, he let a lot of things slide that people were taking advantage of, selling bootleg merchandise at his shows, but he never got involved in that part.